This is a Global Original Podcast. As you can hear from the echoey sound of my voice, I'm recording this where Boris Johnson keeps his shame. There's nothing in here. Coming up, a light row about a subject we used to talk about before the virus thing. I declare war on a weapons manufacturer and get into a stew about socialism. But first, I make a prediction, keep in mind this was recorded last December, about what would be top of the news forever. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And then, an encounter with a person with an explosive personal problem. This says, we are afraid of suggesting that Brexit votes was synonymous. Why are we afraid of suggesting that the Brexit vote was synonymous with xenophobia? I have not heard one valid argument from the Brexit side of the vote. I'm open to valid suggestions, says Tariq in Winchmore Hill. He insists on validity.
Affirmative.
We're going to be talking about this from now until the end of time.
Oh, no.
It's never going to stop being top of the news. Once we're out, we'll most of the country will want to get right back in again. I betcha. Betcha. Well, most of the country doesn't want to leave in the first place. There's that. Croydon. Hello, Maxine.
Hello, my love.
Oh, my God, you're loud.
Look, you always complain. Every time I listen to you, you complain to people, I can't hear you. Turn the radio down. Can you put your mouth to the phone? When I come on, you complain I'm too loud.
Whinging and whining and moaning.
You're right.
Whinging and whining. Now, look, I'm going to talk to you about your car. But first, I've got to tell you something. Now, 2 weeks ago, I had a customer come in my shop. I'm suffering from sickness and diarrhea. Right, okay, all right, okay, hold on.
Yeah. Can you just pop outside for a moment? I'll lock the door.
Right, 2 days later, I come down with it. Right, now.
Hang on, back up. So this person came into the store...
into my shop.
Complaining.
I'm a manager of a betting shop.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
so were they...
I like to chat to my customers. I like to know all their problems. Because I've got nothing else to do during the day. So I like to hear everyone.
How can you stand it, Maxine? People. I've met people. I'm not keen.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to interact, haven't you? It's part of the job, my love.
Is it?
Well, according to my boss, otherwise she'll come in and say, what? And I say, no. But...
So
anyway.
Somebody came in and complained that they had.
Well, no, they put their bet on, my love.
Oh, right. So it wasn't like they were asking for they didn't think they were in the GPs.
No. Well, I do like to give advice, my love, but I have to do it on a non-professional basis.
So what? I'm just curious. I'll probably regret asking this, but what advice did you give somebody with it was diarrhea sickness and diarrhea? So what advice did you give?
I said, our toilets are locked. Go and use the shop across the road.
That's good advice.
You know,
yeah.
There you go.
Helpful.
I'm professional, my love.
Yes.
Right, 2 days later, I'll come down with it.
Right. Well, The thing is, Maxine, your toilets are locked, but you can always go over the road.
Yeah, there you go. But I've got my own toilet out back. Anyway, right. Last week, my sister-in-law had a bad back, sciatica. Oh,
is that
painful, my darling.
So she's called sciatica? Is that what you're saying?
No, my sister-in-law, Tanya, she had sciatica.
Well, what is it? Is it Tanya or sciatica? What's her name?
No, Tanya's my sister-in-law.
Right. Tanya sciatica.
She had sciatica, which is very painful.
Right.
Have you ever read that?
Where do you get it?
You get it in your back and then it goes down your legs. Oh, it's very painful.
Right. Sounds like being greeted by a dog.
Well, no, it's nothing to do with dogs. No, but then what happens? I get it. Right, now, we're getting onto your car.
Well, you sound like you get sick in sympathy.
Over the phone. In sympathy.
Sympathy
now,
sickness.
Here goes with your car. Your cars, none of them work.
Well, one of them does.
One of them does.
At the moment. I'm expecting it to break down at any minute.
Okay, right, I'm coming out in sympathy for you now.
Right.
I get in my car yesterday. I can't tune my radio in. My radio is completely dead. It's been working for years, my love.
Right, I see. So it's my fault.
Well, basically. So
my old car, every time I put the back window heater on, the radio stopped working.
Well, I don't know why mine ain't. Look.
Well, see if your back window heater is on, and you can thank me later. No, wait, I've changed my mind. You can thank me now.
Thank you.
I got to go, Maxine, but thanks for that. 0345, because I just got to go. I'm busy here. 0345 6060 973. Always keep them short and sweet. That should be rule number 1 in radio. This says, hearing so many calls and texts from Brexit people and climate change deniers, I can't get my head around how we ended up like this. It's like people clinging to a cliff edge by their fingertips, yelling, don't step on them. Stamp, get plummet done. Yeah, I've been wondering how we got to this place. I mean, do you ever, just pause for a moment and look around and think, where did all this come from? Life didn't used to be like this. 15 years ago, people weren't screaming at each other. We hadn't divided ourselves up into two halves. The ultra-right wing and everybody else. People weren't picking sides on every single issue, dependent on whether they were an ultra-right-wing person or everybody else. We weren't split into corners, the blue corner and the red corner. People thought about the issues as they came up and made decisions based on the individual issues, rather than, what does Donald Trump think about any issue, just what he said. Or now, mini-Trump, which we have now got a run in this country.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Exactly. How did we get to this point? Now, I'm not saying that anybody's Hitler, but it's kind of like the same thing that people on the History Channel bang on about all the time. The nasty Nazis. How did an entire country become hypnotised by the nasty Nazis? How is that even possible, they thought? Well, blooming easy. They just were promised that the shouty bloke at the front was going to make Germany great again. And they thought, oh, yeah, that's right. Let's make Germany great again. And it worked then, and I'm not saying anybody's Hitler, but it works then and it works now. But it is a bizarre, because things seem to be ticking along just fine, didn't they? I mean, okay, not everybody had the super soaraway lifestyle, not everybody owned their own boat, for instance. But we were doing pretty well. I mean, we are the luckiest people that have ever lived if we're in this country, regardless of what your circumstances, unless you don't actually have a place to sleep. You're in Britain for a start, which is a very, very good place to start. And furthermore, you were also born in this period of time, which is the best period of time to exist in the human race, both in the past and in the future, I bet. I mean, at the moment, we can feed all of the people on the planet if we just put our minds to it and spread the food about a bit. But that's not necessarily going to be the case in the future, because everybody keeps having babies. If only people keep their bits to themselves,
disgusting,
then the future might not look so gloomy. So it seemed fairly positive. And then we decided to make a positive into a negative. And now everybody's screaming at each other 24 hours a day. We're making a misery of this fantastic period that we're living through. How did that happen? That will be explained on a future programme on the History Channel. There's something to look forward to.
Ah, how innocent we were last year, eh? If only we'd known then what we know now. Coming up, I launch an attack on a company that actually makes the equipment for attacks.
I am not one of your fans!
So the sell-off of Britain PLC has begun already. Blimey, it didn't take them long, did it?
The family behind UK defence company Cobham has attacked the government over its... Well, they're well positioned to attack the government, aren't they? A weapons manufacturer. They could attack spectacularly. The family behind UK defence company Cobham has attacked the government over its decision to give the go-ahead to a £4 billion takeover of the business by a US private equity firm. Oh, private equity!
Warning! Warning!
A merger between the Dorset-based manufacturer and US firm Advent. Those are the people that make the calendars. Oh, they are great. It was agreed in July, but was delayed due to national security concerns. Really? So we have no concerns about national security anymore, now that we're led by you-know-who.
Yeah. Wait.
Everything is fine and bolted down. Don't worry about a thing. The government signed off on the takeover on Friday after Donald Trump told them to. After Advent posed a number of legally binding obligations to protect the UK's interests. These include, but are not limited to, ongoing protection of sensitive government information and requiring prior notice of Ministry of Defence and Home Office on any future plans to sell the Cobham business. Right, well, that doesn't sound like much of a protection. They're going to tell you before they do it, but it doesn't stop them from doing it. Lady Nadine Cobham, daughter-in-law of the firm's founder Sir Alan Cobham, said the decision was deep... I had no idea I was going to do that. She said the decision was deeply disappointing and accused the government of handing control away. Just when you thought we were taking control back. Like I said, wind the tape back. I don't like saying I told you so, but I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. We're taking back control from the Rainbow Coalition of the Democratic European Union and giving control to a giant orange whining baby in the White House.
Oh, shut up!
No offence. The MOD feared that the security of military information held on the firm's systems could be undermined if Advent decided to sell off sections of the business, or if they accidentally left it on a train, which is par for the course for our top-secret military persons. In one of the first major economic decisions, says Lady Nadine, the government is not taking back control so much as handing it away. See, I was completely correct in every respect. She said, in Cobham, we stand to lose yet another great British defence manufacturer to foreign ownership through a takeover that would never have been approved by the Americans, the French or the Japanese, all of whom have taken steps recently to raise protections for their own defence sectors. Is there anything in this country that's not actually for sale? I'll go further. Is there anything in this country that is actually British anymore? Name one thing, I double dare you, that you would associate with Britishness that is actually British, apart from Her Majesty herself. Well, she's... no, cancel that. German. Name one thing that's British. I double dare you. Exactly. He said, no clue. Everything that speaks British or all around the world is owned by somebody else. Because we sold it for short-term gain. Just a tiny bit of cash to please the shareholders or the owners in the short term, and to hell with the long term, because we're all going to be dead by then. Business Secretary Andrea Leadsom said, this will secure the future of Cobham and the important role it plays in our world-leading defence sector and economy. And you could have probably said the same thing about British Steel when it got sold to hedge funders. And how's that going, by the way?
Oh, fabulous.
I'm just curious. Do you have an update? This says, Graham says, now we are Brexiting, perhaps we can get down to important business like cat licences. I propose charging £1,000 per cat, so the owners would think twice about letting them roam all over the place, doing their bit to ruin the ecosystem by torturing millions of birds to death. Yeah, cats do torture a thing. I don't know whether they're doing it for their feline amusement, but they do seem to play with their food. Stop playing with your food! This says, Nick, when's the vote for independence in England? Well, I think that everybody should be able to, based on the vote for Brexit, we should build walls around major conurbations and declare independence for those areas. And if we're really going to take back control, let's do it. We could build a tunnel between Scotland and London, and everybody else could leave Europe, and Scotland and London could stay where we are. This says 20 years ago, all we had to worry about was the dreaded millennium bug, but now it's as if the Earth has been sucked through a giant wormhole and spat out the other side. With all the sanity removed from a vast number of the human occupants, says James in Dunbar, which answers a lot of questions that we may have had. And Steve says, Nick, if you lefty Remainers had presented your case in a more dignified manner instead of trying to destroy the other side like the Terminator...
Affirmative.
...then we may have paid more attention to you. You have only yourselves to blame because you were so nasty. Steve. Oh, I see. This is my fault. Because we weren't nice enough.
Stop whining.
0345 6060 973. This is Beckenham. Hello, Ashley.
Hello, sir. I wanted to give a New Year's message based on the controversy that dear old Stormzy, or soon to be probably Sir Stormzy, which I think would be brilliant. I can't wait.
That's not going to happen.
It is because he's brilliant.
I have zero respect for musicians that accept the funny badge and a title. Zero. Did Keith Richards accept the funny badge and a title?
No.
No. Mick Jagger did, not Keith.
Listen, owning the right is brilliant, and if Stormzy got offered it, I think he should take it. It would be brilliant, and people's minds would be blown. But I wanted to say something about the kind of controversy that's been out in the media today, okay? The only people that should be offended by Stormzy highlighting a rising, the perceived racism that's out there, and I'm black, I'm telling you it feels different in the media and everything else. I'm telling you that a lot of people feel like this. The only people that should be scared of that are racist people. And just to all the other white people out there that are just normal and nice, which is the 99%.
No, I think I think it's a vast overstatement. 99% of people are nice. That's way out.
Nice. I don't think they're racist, though. I don't think they're racist, but I think they're getting caught up in this. If you like Brexit, you must like this. And as soon as Nigel Farage doesn't like something, you don't like it as well. Do you know what I mean? There's a package.
That is true, yes, absolutely. I've said that TV. On this show and many times before. People seem to think, well, what is my opinion on any given subject? What would Nigel say, they think?
Exactly. I find it bizarre. Do you know what's strange? I believe and agree with some of what Boris Johnson says.
What?
It doesn't mean I agree with him totally. It doesn't mean I like him. But some stuff makes sense. Yeah. Some of it. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of it, I'm going to be honest. I can't think of one right now to pull out of that.
But the notion that this is not, that this country doesn't have racism in its borders, of course it does. Everybody is racist over the entire face of the planet. It's a survival mechanism. It's what you do with that feeling that marks you out as a human being.
No, I totally agree. And what's happened is, Stormzy has said something, and obviously you get the pundits and people need to get reports. But then there were a group of people, it's almost been linked to that. Every working class person or white person has been linked to being racist. Because there's a lot more people are being racist. No, they've just been given a platform.
Well, not everybody exactly. For a while there, it was unacceptable to express certain opinions out loud, which was a reaction against the 70s. I don't know how old you are, but in the 70s, there used to be
Bernard Manning and
exactly the Whale Tappers and Shunters Social Club. All of that comedy stuff used to be primetime entertainment. And it was show after. It wasn't even that. It was show after show after show. They were like My Neighbour Next Door or whatever that was called, and On the Buses, and all of those shows. And then Ben Elton came on. You remember Ben Elton, don't you?
I remember.
Yeah, Ben Elton.
It was brilliant.
Exactly. Ben Elton came along, and suddenly we had what do they call it? Not new comedy. It was what was it called? Alternative, right? As in unfunny.
No, it was brilliant. The young ones was amazing. Bottom.
Yes, it was at the time. Yeah. I don't want to see it again, but at the time it was very, very funny. Yeah. But it suddenly was unacceptable to express those opinions out loud, which does not mean that people stop thinking them.
I agree.
And now the feeling in the country is that it's okay to say those things out loud again.
But I'll tell you what I think the difference is in this time around is that then it was considered normal and kind of it was a very old working man's club type thing, and it just happened and no one had ever said it. But now we know it's wrong. I don't want a group of people to be dragged in thinking, well, I'm being censored from what I really think when they don't really think that. Because everyone was happy 3 years ago. Nobody cared that they couldn't say this stuff.
Now, wait a minute. That might be overstating the case there, actually. Everybody was happy 3 years ago? I don't think so.
Well, they were happy not saying racist stuff. That's what I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it doesn't mean to say they weren't happy, they were not thinking it, but they weren't actually saying it out loud. And now it's, of course, the thing that comes up on the news over and over again is people screaming stupid things from the stands at football games.
Oh, yeah, that's massive, isn't it? It's come back bad.
But that's just because it's the most visible and televised incident in that canon.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that. That's how we knew about it in the 70s, because it was the visible one.
Well, I
and then
suppose
when you got to the pub, it got there, and it's just the TV is the picture where you see what's actually going on, and we're seeing it again. Right. And what I want to say is, what I think good, normal people should do, no matter what your colour and creed, is just say, we don't agree with that. That's it. Just say, that's rubbish, that's wrong. I might disagree with you on Brexit. I might disagree with you on a policy decision. Yeah. But I don't think Tommy Robinson should be supporting the Conservative Party. Okay. And maybe if Boris Johnson had said that, we wouldn't feel like that about Boris Johnson. And we might have forgot about the Piccaninny and Walter McWilliam smile.
Right. That's never going to go away. It's going to trail him around like a bad smell. All right, thanks a lot, Ashley. 0345 6060 973. Yeah, that I think football is patting itself on the back and congratulating itself until just recently about its kick racism out of football campaign. Have they kicked racism out of football? They might as well say, let's kick stupidity out of football. Oh, the lads done great and it's all credit to the lads, and the lads done great and it's all credit to the manager and the lads and the fans. Yeah, not so far. This says the US Space Force. We're going into space, it's going to be fantastic and huge. The US Space Force refers to the vast space inside Trump's head where a brain should be. Oh, God, it sounds like listener with material. A listener with material. Oh, no. The USA's propensity for occupying easily conquered territories is the inspiration behind this initiative, says that missive. Stockton-on-Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yes, good evening, Nick.
Brian.
Good to talk to you again.
Super duper.
Well, Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
Is it Boris Johnson?
Can you believe it?
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Or is it really Superman disguised as him? He's politician of the year, isn't he?
Superman costumes do not come in Boris Johnson's size. No matter how much they stretch, he wouldn't be able to squeeze himself into one.
I tell you what I'm thinking of that old Abbot record, you know. The winner takes it all. The loser stands in the small.
Yeah, well, but on that measure, Boris Johnson and Jacob Rees-Mogg will take it all. And I'm afraid the good people of Stockton-on-Tees, Brian, might find themselves losers.
Nick, come on. You've got to accept it. Give him a pat on the back. We know you're on the opposite side of the argument to him. But come on.
Give it a little time, Brian, and I think you'll find yourself on the opposite side of the argument to him.
No,
once the disappointment sets in, call me back.
He's took Parliament over, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And do you actually believe that it's for the benefit of the people in Stockton-on-Tees?
Well, if you let me get a word, and I'll tell you. He's took Parliament over, he's put the Remainers back in the box, and now he's heading to the EU, isn't he? And I tell you what, it'll be another Waterloo, another old Abbot record. You'll sort them out there, because we have the guns and the tanks. All they have is bows and arrows and spears.
Oh, my God. It's always right back to the Second World War with you people.
Well, you've been talking about Italy tonight.
Yes, that's right. But I'm not... Oh, go on.
You don't like him that much, right, Boris Johnson. You'd have to go to Nazis and Hitler. You know, you don't stop thinking so low, Nick. Admit he's done well through gritted teeth. Come on radio.
Well, what do you mean he's done? What do you mean he hasn't done anything yet?
Well, he got the back truck changed with his hands tied. He's won an 80-seat majority to take Parliament over, to get things, the roadblock. And now he's going to, in the next year, 11 months, you'll find out that he's going to get a super-duper deal off the EU.
I think it's charming that people who are in your position think that Boris Johnson is on your side. I think that's...
He's on our side.
I think it's... I don't want to say amusing, but it's interesting. We're in a social science experiment right now. When are you going to feel that you've been duped? I wonder.
I know I haven't been duped. It's you with your Remainer front on, right, who've been duped. You've got John Major, Gordon Brown, ex-Prime Minister, Tony Blair, right? And you keep going about how great the EU... These people tied us lock, stock and barrel to the EU.
Yeah, I know. And we were doing so badly. Oh, no, that's right. Everything was going along just fine.
It hasn't been going well with it. You know that. They're going down the next,
I don't know any such thing. I'll restate my case.
The banks are skinned. The banks are skinned. In the EU.
The banks are skinned?
They've got immigration problems, open borders. Right?
Brian, we have immigration problems, but it doesn't have anything to do with the European Union. Because, as has been explained to you over and over again, more people come here from outside the European Union than inside. And that's not going to stop. Why would it? We're being run by the same people that have been running us for 10 years. But I do think it's... charming is not the right word. Interesting, maybe. It's not... Maybe it's not... a strong enough word, but I can't quite put my finger on what precisely the emotion is. But interesting might be a sort of all-encompassing word. It is like a social science experiment. People have been told that their lives are going to get better by a group of people who have never had their interests at heart, ever. And yet they think that, I suppose like the adverts say, previous results may not be an indicator of future results. But I think it's charming, isn't it? But interesting. I think it's interesting that you have such faith in somebody who has never demonstrated that he deserves it in the past. Well, but I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see if over the next 10 years, or however long he gets, whether it's the rich that get richer or the poor that get richer. I know what I'm betting on.
Coming up, a heated debate about political correctness, which ends up in an unpolitically correct shouting match.
This says, most of your callers are turning your show into an evening with the Hugo Chavez devotees. Can't imagine too many of them will go off to Venezuela to see the fruits of his socialist efforts, says Jim. Well, nobody's threatening socialism. Don't worry about it. Jim, you'll be just fine, as long as you're not interested in the NHS, which is a socialist construct, or the police, or your local council, or the ambulance that might pick you up if you're ill, or the firefighters that might come and put your house out. As long as you don't care about any of that, and you're willing to just stand up and survive on your own merits, winner takes it all. I wish you the best of luck. Let's have, I'll be totally fair about this, Southampton. Martin.
Hello there.
Hello there.
I'm one of the stupid little people you've been talking about.
How little are you?
Well, 5'9".
Right, that's not so small.
Yeah, well, I mean little in, influence in society.
Oh, I see, right.
Yeah, I'm one of the people who voted Brexit.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't actually. I had to hold my nose and put a peg on my nose and vote for the Conservatives because Brexit didn't stand anyone in our area. So right. I had to, like I say, put a peg on my nose and vote for the Conservatives. And like you, I'm very cynical, and I agree with. I'm in agreement with a lot of your take on the economic. I have no idea about economics at all, but I agree with you about that. But the thing is, people voted Brexit not just for the economy. They wrote that it's a social and cultural thing as well.
In what way?
Well, people are sick and tired of having political correctness shoved down their throats.
That has nothing to do with the European Union.
Oh, yeah, but the European Union is one of the most far-left, politically correct bodies around, apart from,
the European Union is a rainbow coalition of people who Nigel Farage represented this country in the European Union. It's from the far right to the far left, most of them in the middle, like most people.
Yeah, but it seems to be the far left that has the biggest voice.
But that's not. But that would be true if it were true. But it isn't, so it isn't.
I mean, the
far left have the biggest voice in the European Union.
Yeah,
that's completely untrue. But go ahead.
Well, all right then. I'm wrong about everything because I'm just nobody. But anyway.
You just got to look it up, Martin. It's not like it's a secret. It's all this information is readily available.
It's like I say, it's not just. It's a social and cultural thing. People like me are sick of the bigwigs, of the snooty, snobby gits.
Well, people, old Etonians, you mean?
They're all
you
wrong
mean
because
you mean millionaire old Etonians?
Well, him as well. You say people aren't questioning. The people who voted for Brexit aren't questioning or cynical. We're just as cynical as you are. This is a big gamble. I accept it's a big gamble. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And Boris Johnson might do the dirty on the...
Martin, it might turn out that Boris Johnson is particularly interested in the fortune of the good people of Southampton. Now, there's nothing up to this point that would lead you to that conclusion, but maybe a cat will change its stripes.
Can I tell you what? Back in 2016, I voted Remain because I've got socialist leanings myself. But being socialist and being politically correct are two different things.
Yes, Martin, you keep going on about socialism. The European Union is not a socialist government organisation.
Yeah,
and neither does it have anything to do with political correctness, which is usually just being polite.
Be polite!
Which part of political correctness are you most aggrieved about?
Well, it's not...
Well,
yes,
name one thing. Name one thing. You keep saying political correctness is very, very upsetting to you. Which bit? Like what? Tell me.
Well, having multiculturalism shoved down my throat, and all these cut words like diversity.
Nothing to do with the European Union.
Because it's all nothing. Diversity is a big con because it's all against the indigenous populations of Europe.
Oh yeah, I know. When will rich white men ever get a break? I know you're right, Martin. Oh. You see, he didn't sound like a... he introduced himself as a stupid person, but he was being sarcastic. He isn't a stupid person. He's just, I don't know, I don't want to use the word gullible. But you're making it really hard for me.
And that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, you'll find the next episode gets squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And don't forget the podcast that I do with Carol McGiffin called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing like drains. And if you would like us to solve your problem, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol@global.com. There's also the podcast that I do, which is called The Whole Show, which is, as it sounds, the whole of the shows that I do on LBC. Just do an internet search of my name, Nick Abbot, and podcasts, and they will all become available. And I'll be back on the radio Friday and Saturday night at 10, and until then, LBCing you.
Bye-bye.